Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is our Thanksgiving edition of Nuclear Popcorn, and I'm Maurice Dwayne Smith. Today we have the beautiful Donna Heising. How are you?
I'm so happy to be here, and I'm very nervous, as I was just telling Maurice.
Oh, well, don't be nervous, because as I said, we're one big, happily Thanksgiving Nuclear Popcorn family, and we want to get you the type of attention that you desire and deserve. And we got food for you, we got warmth, we got everything you need to make you feel right at home.
Yeah, well, actually, I do feel right at home because I happened to run into Mel Novak in the green room, and Mel is with my manager, Joe Williamson. So we are one big happy family.
We're one big happy family. And we've been popping all day, and sorry for the delay because I know you've been here since, 10:30, 11 o'clock.
Uh-huh.
But now you're on, and we're going to let people know who you are. You are arguably one of the biggest horror actresses I've seen in a while, and I've always wanted to talk with you and see what's going on. But upon speaking to you, I find out that there's more to you than blood and guts and horror. You have other things going on. You're an actress that wants to diversify herself, and also you're a publicist. I never knew that at all.
Oh, really? Okay.
Aren't you? Aren't you a publicist?
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
I'm just a publicist for my friends. I'm not a full-time publicist. I have an MBA from Pepperdine University, and
Wow.
I was a marketing vice president in technology companies. So I am really trained in publicity. I started public relations departments for technology, and so I find it's just the same in show business. But really, I only do it for my friends or the films that I'm in now.
That's incredible. So I have another friend who started in, let's say the brainy side of, reality, MBA. She's an IT manager. She's in banking, like you, because that's kind of heavy stuff. So what drew you from that to entertainment?
Well, actually, I started out in entertainment. I went to UC Berkeley, and I won Miss San Francisco Universe. So then from there, I became Miss Hawaii on Fantasy Island. And I know I'm giving away my age, but I started out in academia. I mean, I was really happy at UC Berkeley. I was a cheerleader at community colleges before that, so I've always enjoyed performing. But I was, my mom wanted me to become a dietitian, so I was majoring in chemistry, and then, from there I went to Fantasy Island. So then I was in show business for a while, and then I had to go back and get my MBA and start a full-time career in business. So I took a break from show business. I was with a theater company for 12 years. It was Sal Romeo's The Friends and Artists theater company, and we learned the Strasberg method, and it was incredible.
Now, since we're on that, what makes the Strasberg method so dynamic and powerful?
I think it's a lot of it is what you call the method. It's like becoming that character, but using your five senses. Like the first exercise is having a cup of coffee and imagining how hot it is and imagining what it tastes like. And you have to do these sensory exercises for a long time before you really understand what it's like. But it helps you a lot in building the character or becoming the character.
On that note, I've always wondered when I see people going through these real painful performances. I'm just wondering, like when they get into the tears and the screaming, is there like a residue? Does that linger? Like once you hit that trigger, whatever associates that emotion for you to bring it out, can you turn it off? Or later on, is it still nagging at you that you went there? Is it still with you?
Well, for me, I mean, it affects you the rest of the night if it's a really heavy performance. I played Meili on stage in a Flower Drum Song. I've been dancing my whole life. I can't sing, but I actually imagined myself as Linda Lowe. So I went to try out for Linda Lowe, and they already had a Linda Lowe who could sing. So they gave me Mei Lee, who's the shy Japanese one, or shy Chinese mail order bride. And she has like 2 really hard solos. So anyway, I had to learn singing for that. But there was a part in it where I did have to cry on stage every night, and it did take a lot out of me to do that on stage every night, but it didn't linger. But I can imagine a lot of, I never played a really heavy part, nothing comes to mind now, but you know, the parts that really turn you inside. Oh, like Leonardo DiCaprio had OCD in The Aviator. I'm sure that for that type of a role, I'm sure that would follow you forever, and for him, for Leonardo DiCaprio, he really did have to develop the OCD symptoms. So that's something that I think would probably live on. I would love to get a role like that to just, show people I can act.
Well, looking at your IMDb, you're definitely an actor. But I just wanted to just ask you something since we're on the traumatic roles. Have you ever seen the Deer Hunter?
I know what it is. Meryl Streep's in it, but I haven't seen it.
Well, there's this one scene where De Niro, Christopher Walken, John Savage, and this other actor are captured by the enemy. And these guys are making all these prisoners play Russian roulette. And then, of course, De Niro and Walken are being kept in this rat cage in this lake. And every time they want someone new, because you hear boom, that means they got shot. So they pulled up De Niro and Walken. And the freaking performance that De Niro and Walken did while they're like just agonizing over just spinning it, because there are times when they don't want to do it, and these guys are slapping it, pow, pow, let's do it, pow. And then eventually, boom, and then the tension keeps rising and rising, whereas Walken's like totally about to have a nervous breakdown. He's like crying. And then De Niro too, but he's so freaking mad that he's figured out how to get the guns and the chambers like he wants. So he kind of acts stupid to the extent that the enemy does what they shouldn't, which is put more bullets into it and ends up killing them. But the way they do that scene, that's unbelievable. You should see that.
Oh, yeah, now I definitely will.
You should see that. That's a trip. That's a trip. But now I see.
I think there's a reason why those type of actors are where they are. It's because they're so great.
Yeah, that was unbelievable.
To always bring your A game. The A-listers always bring their A game.
They were A+++. That was
wow.
Totally off the chain.
I know it won a bunch of Oscars.
Oh yeah, for everything.
Well, actually, now that we're talking about that, I think most people know my uncle is Tak Fujimoto. He was the DP on Silence of the Lambs, Philadelphia, really? Sixth Sense. Now, if you watched Silence of the Lambs, that's
I never get tired of it.
Oh my God.
I watch it every time it comes on.
It's so scary.
Because the acting is so superb.
Yeah, it is.
You know,
and it's
Jodie
not
and
over the top.
Yeah, because Jodie and what's Hannibal Lecter's real name? Hopkins.
Yeah, Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah, it's a trip.
He is so scary and yet so sophisticated. I remember I saw it in the theaters, and I came home, and my husband, my boyfriend at the time, he had to look in all the closets for me. It was so scary.
It's a trip.
But that's another film, where the acting is just spectacular, and that's another film where I would feel like it would traumatize you.
It would haunt you and just wear it like a cloak. But I want to get into Fantasy Island. Now, you were on the show Fantasy Island as Miss Hawaii?
I guessed it on the show.
Wow, cool. And Big Trouble in Little China. So you worked with, I forgot the Asian actor's name that was all those different characters in it. You know the one I mean, right?
James Fong?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually I was one of the priestesses. It was a small role, but it was in the temple, and he was on the throne, and I was just one of the priestesses on the side.
And that's one of the horror films that I find, sometimes people put horror and comedy into the, maybe I'm twisted, but I found some funny stuff in that movie. But
No, it is funny, you know, and that's why Kurt Russell's so popular.
who,
Kind of like, who's the guy that was in Galaxy, the guy that's really, his name's Chris. Oh my gosh.
Galaxy?
Pratt. His last name's Pratt. Do I have the wrong?
I'm not sure.
Okay, well, he's really big now. He was in the movie with all the dinosaurs. Yeah,
Was Jeff Goldblum in like the first one?
he was in the first one, but
I
the
know what you
latest one, and he's in everything. And he was in this really funny movie, the one that made him famous. It had a talking twig. Anyway, because he's so funny, it made that film even more funny, and I think that's what made him.
Who was your biggest mentor? Because I see you said the person that inspires you most are your husband, Paul, daughters, Marissa and Misty, your mom, and Joe Williamson. Hey, Joe. Of
My manager.
Williamson Management Company. He's a cool guy. So these people inspired you, but who was the one that really, I mean, because as you said, you've always been in acting and theater, but then you went back to MBA and got your MBA. Who would you say is the person that really lit the acting bug under your butt?
Well, I have to say the person who inspired me the most through my lifetime is my mother, because she told me I could achieve whatever I wanted. But also my husband, because my husband was a VP at ConAgra, which is the largest food company in the nation.
Which one is it? I'm sorry.
Wait,
What's the company that he?
ConAgra.
Okay.
He developed the Healthy Choice food line, and I had to quit show business and go back and learn business right away. And obviously in business, you can't dress like this. You have to completely transform, which I was never successful in doing. But my husband mentored me through my whole business career, and he's the reason why I became a vice president in it. But he's also my biggest supporter in acting, which is really important, I think, is to have the people around you, the people who you care about, which is my mother and my daughters and my husband, support your acting career. I have to say, in acting, besides Joe, because I've been with Joe for maybe a year and a half now, since we did Samurai Cop 2, is Aki Young. I met Aki maybe 3 years ago. He came to my house, and I did an interview with him, and he showed me his film Chinaman's Chance. And I don't know how Aki found me, but we're both half Chinese. So we bonded, and then when my dad died, Aki said that he would be my Chinese father, my surrogate father. But actually, I played his wife in a film called Pass.
Wow.
So Aki is just one of my best friends. But he is a fantastic actor, one of the best actors I've ever met. He's been acting his whole life. He's very humble, very, very nice, a very, very good person. And I'm really proud to say that I just did an hour-long interview with Aki at his home. It's called Showtime Ranch, and I'm sharing it on my YouTube page. It's being shown on the Prime Network now, and I think this time I've done 4 interviews with Aki now, and I'm his publicist, one of his publicists.
Okay.
I actually just turned him over to Joe, who's a super publicist. So I'm hoping that Aki will get all of the publicity that he deserves, because he's been my friend through all the ups and downs and rejection of show business, and there's tons of it.
Well, it looks like you've taken the rejection and just alchemized it into something bigger than life. For instance, now you're the executive producer and host of iEntertainment and More Horror in Hollywood. How did that come about? Was that one of your brainchilds, or you just said, I'm going to do this, this is what I want to do, it shot off into two different directions, or did they come after you to do it, or how did that work?
Well, actually, I was, I was a marketing director at an LED company, and I have two companies actually. One was an LED lighting company, and another one made menu boards from the LEDs. And I started the marketing department and the public relations department for both of those. So in technology, you work 12 hours a day. And I missed show business so much that I started a show on Time Warner Cable called Ion Entertainment. And I still had lots of people, lots of friends in show business, so I would go and interview them. And a man named Matt Chasen found me on LinkedIn and contacted me. And Matt happened to handle some of the biggest names in horror, like Bill Oberst Jr., Domiziano Arcangeli at the time, you know, all of the big horror names. So what I would do is I would go, after I finished work, or maybe on the weekends, I would go and interview Matt's people at whatever they were performing at, and then write the press releases and put them out. So that's how I got to know everyone in horror, because it wasn't, I can't say it was my favorite genre, you know, growing up.
Right.
I mean, I like all sorts of films, but it wasn't just horror. And so that's how that happened. And so I did that for years. And then maybe 5 years ago, my husband told me I could just go back to the business full time. And since then, I've done over 40 projects.
I know, you've been real busy, like Blade Runner. Now, which part in Blade Runner are you in? Because that's one of my favorite movies.
I was one of the cage dancers, and that was probably one of my first films. So that was years and years ago.
Now, when they keep saying that they're going to, oh yeah, we're going to do a sequel, blah, blah, blah. And I've met Sean Young a number of times, and she said, oh no, we're not going to. And then later on I find out that they're in the act of doing something. So I was like, she said, well, you know, I think they did the blah, blah. So I was like, well, all they got to do is just change up and come up with a reason why someone's still alive that was previously thought dead. I mean, it's easy to do. It's done all the time. I forgot what we were talking about. But
well, Blade Runner was such a huge film. I'm kind of sad to see them come out with a sequel.
Why?
Because Blade Runner was done so long ago. I mean, Harrison Ford was in it, Daryl Hannah. Yeah, and actually I was in the scene too where she does the backflips, or she actually didn't do them.
When he says, show him why, and then
where her stunt double did all those backflips. I mean, I worked on that film for such a long time because it was so huge.
That was a great film.
So big budget, and we worked in like the fog. They built this city. It was fantastic.
Where was it shot? In California or New York?
In California, it was on one of the sets, one of the major sets. I forget which one. I think it was Burbank, something like that.
I thought it's so pleasing to the eye because I like those dark, you know, shadowy with the fog stuff and the blatant colors coming out through the darkness. It was very cool.
Well, that's the difference. If you look at my resume, the first I've done like over 100 projects, and I'm a very obsessive person. I'm very driven in the things that I'm interested in. You know, so
to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, I'm driven in a lot of different things, but I have to be interested in it. So if you look at the first like maybe 50 credits, you'll have heard of all of them, because at that time there were major movies, there were the 3 networks, and the things that you could work on, everybody knew about. So I had small roles in all of these major projects. But then when I came back full-time here, it was so different because anybody could make a movie. I mean, anybody who had a camera, you could use a digital camera and make a movie. You didn't even need to have a budget, really, you know, if you had the locations. And so it was just so different. So the first credits that I have, you'd have heard of them, but until recently, I don't think you would have heard of anything that I've done. And that's one reason why I went back to take acting at South Coast Repertory a year and a half ago, and a year and a half ago, that's the Uta-Hagen method, and I love it. It's more geared towards theater, but I'm also taking a Strasberg class with Michael Sewell, who's also a pastor. No, but he's a great teacher. So I really decided I wanted to perfect my craft, to become as good as I was when I was in the theater company and get even better and be in bigger and better films.
Very smart, very smart. So now you said that you want to do more, not cut out horror, but you want to diversify. What type of films would you like to sink your teeth into?
Well,
And tell me some of your upcoming projects, because a person that works this hard, I know you got something coming up, so.
Well, I was really excited I have a really small part in Samurai Cop 2, but I was really excited to work with Gregory Hatanaka in Samurai Cop 2 because my scene was with Tommy Wiseau, and
Was that with the sword?
yeah,
Do
and
you
I
kill him?
had maybe 3 lines in it, but at the time I didn't realize how famous or infamous Tommy Wiseau is. I mean, they have film festivals every year for The Room. I just consider myself so blessed and so grateful to Gregory that he let me have that scene.
Great cast.
Because there were so many, there were so many stars in it.
Legendary icons.
Yeah,
By Mel,
and
by
Tommy
name.
actually is one of them because James Franco is playing him in a film. And Gregory actually knew my cousin Nicholas, who is Tak Fujimoto's son growing up. So it's a small world. So Samurai Cop 2 is probably the first film since I came back that I told my uncle about, because of Gregory. So I think that was the start of when I really wanted to do good projects.